Hey, what's happening guys? In today's video, I've got Assetto Corsa for you guys. This time we're taking a look at a brand new F122 interpreted mod made by Virtual Racing Cars. And to be honest with you guys, I was planning on making something completely different on F1 2021, but I saw a video by SimRacing 604. I'll make sure to leave the link to his video in the description on this mod, and I had to immediately get this mod and try it out for myself because it's pretty interesting what this mod comes with. So if you do play Assetto Corsa quite a bit and you have some mods, you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference between what we have here today and say Racing Studios version of the F122 car? Well, there are a few key differences, one being obviously how they handle, but I think the main differences that a lot of people end up liking about this mod in particular are some of the visual differences that do actually impact the car. So let's take a look at some of them, and the main difference that I want to talk to you guys today about, we'll get to in just a second, but obviously you have the normal setup, gears which are fixed, and tires where you have the hards, you actually have the wets as well, like the wet tires, you have the mediums, the softs, and super softs, and then the main difference comes with actually setting up the car. So as you can see right now, we have the B spec. If I change this to A spec, you can see that the front wing actually changes pretty significantly. So yeah, this is where the main difference comes in. There's a lot more customization, it seems, to the setup of a car, and it also simulates porpoising, which I'm definitely going to be showing you guys. So yeah, not only can you change the front wing with the aero kit, obviously we've got A spec and B spec. If you go down here to rear wing assembly, you can actually change the rear wing as well. As you can see, we've got 3 different wing setups here. We've got the normal one, which you'd probably see around most tracks. We've got one that seems to carry a little bit more drag with it, which you would expect to put on tracks like Monaco, Singapore, etc. And then you've got this wing, which you would assume they would put on at tracks like Monza, where you really need that straight line speed. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff in this mod as well, but I'll leave it to SimRacing 604's video because he will probably explain it a lot better than I can. But one thing I did want to show you guys was this right here, the suspension alignment. Now, another huge visual difference that you can actually see that affects the car as well is the camber and the toe. You can actually change the camber and the toe, and it does affect the car, but it also affects it visually as well, so you can actually visually see what you're changing, which is very, very good. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the difference between the A spec front wing and the B spec front wing, because there's actually a difference in terms of porpoising. You're probably going to see the porpoising more with the A spec, but you can fix this with setup changes, which is the really cool thing. So yeah, what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to take you around the 2022 version, which is the updated version around Spa. I'm going to take you on a few laps so that you can see exactly how the porpoising is with the A spec version of the front wing and the B spec version of the front wing as well. And I'm just going to talk about how the car handles compared to what I've experienced with Racing Studios. I'm not the biggest Assetto Corsa mod guy. I do have both mods, and I do use them from time to time, especially this one now that I've just recently got it. I'll tell you how I feel about it personally, and obviously you guys can go and check it out for yourselves, but as we're on the back straight right now, you can already see, and you can probably see from the camera movement as well, just the amount of porpoising that I was getting. And again, the thing I find crazy about this is it can be fixed with just setup changes. I'm not exactly sure what will fix it in terms of setup changes, however, it can be changed. So that's really, really interesting, and I like how it not only is a visual aspect of the car, but you can actually feel the porpoising in your force feedback as well. And especially if you've got quite strong force feedback, you're probably going to be bouncing up and down in your rig. Now, how does this car actually feel driving, especially with the porpoising? Well, once you've actually warmed up the tires, because I mean, AC is a bit different compared to the F1 games, where the cold tires actually do matter a lot. But once you've actually warmed up the tires, I'd say they're very, very similar. You do feel a lot of grip in both cars, but I feel like with the Racing Studios, you have more grip in the car, especially on traction. And I've noticed as well that the brakes seem to be a lot more sensitive on this car as well. I find myself locking up a lot more as I'm going to turn the brake bias down to about 53% here. Yeah, I feel like I find myself locking up in this car a lot more compared to the Racing Studios one, so I definitely say it's a bit trickier to drive. However, I guess that is a good thing if you're looking for realism as well, because apparently the F122 cars are a hassle to drive, especially the Mercedes, if you've seen that over the past couple of races. But yeah, as I said, this is the updated version of Spa, so it's the updated version of Eau Rouge and Radion. You will see that in a second here. There's a lot more runoff area. coming off of Radion here. And yeah, as we go back onto the back straight, you're gonna see the porpoising, just how much porpoising you actually get. It's a crazy amount when you have the A-spec wing on. But we're gonna brake round about here, down into 4th gear. Are losing the car a little bit, but I must say, obviously we're not in an actual car, nor do we have a motion rig here on this channel. But even without all of that, you can still feel the effects of the porpoising in this rig, which is absolutely crazy to me. So I couldn't imagine what it would be like actually driving this car, or actually having, you know, a motion rig platform on your rig, so where you'd just be bouncing up and down as you're going up the straights. You can still pretty much pick out your braking points fairly well, which I imagine would be a lot more difficult in real life. But oh my god, this car is so much fun to drive. If you guys have AC, highly recommend getting it. I purchased this for around about I want to say $4. I think it's around $4 at this moment of time. It's in alpha. I'm not 100% sure. I will probably put something in the description, some links and stuff like that for you to go to, so that you can get this mod. But yeah, this thing is definitely worth it, just from the fact that you can really toy around with the setups and try and see what works, see what works with this car, see what doesn't, see what actually affects the porpoising, and see what doesn't. I'm definitely going to be spending some of my free time looking into the setup of this car and seeing exactly what I can do in order to get the most out of this car, because I'm a setup nerd when it comes to F1 2021, for example. So to get this much customizability in an F1 car, whilst having the laser scan track and having the porpoising as well, this is going to be absolutely insane. But we're going to do one more lap here, and then I'm going to show you guys the B-spec wing, so you can see the difference between what happens with the porpoising and what happens when you don't have the porpoising. Taking quite a lot of curb there, so we felt it. Oh, I had to catch the car. Wasn't expecting to get that much slide out of the car there. Once again, just talking about how this car is a bit more tricky to drive than the Race Sim Studio one. But if you do want me to make another video where I sort of compare the two mods, because they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses, of course, as we go quite wide here at Q1, I'll definitely make that video for you guys if that's something you want me to do. Oh god, okay, I'm driving quite terribly right now. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm heading into the pits. We're going to switch over to the B-spec wings so that you guys can see what the difference is between the two wings, and you can actually see how much more porpoising you get with the A-spec versus the B-spec. Alright then, here we go guys. So I've just put on the B-spec wing, which is the default wing that you have when you load up Assetto Corsa with this mod. And you could just, you're going to see when we get to the back straight just how much smoother it is of an experience. I would say that having the B-spec wing on kind of makes the car feel like how more similar to how the Race Sim Studio 1 feels. You can feel all the bumps and stuff in the road, of course, but you just don't get as much porpoising, if any at all, really, with this version of the wing. So yeah, I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see what type of setups people can come up with on this, and just what type of content you can really come up with as well. It's going to be interesting to see people do some races with this car, as in terms of the way the car works physically, seems to be the closest mod that you can get to a Formula 1 car in 2022. Okay, so yeah, we had a huge crash because I was underestimating the cold tires of this car. But again, it just shows how tricky this car can be to drive, especially when you're first getting into it. So in my opinion, so far I'm pretty happy with this mod. Like, I'm actually pretty pumped up to drive this off camera and really get used to it and really start tinkering around with the different setup options that you'll have. Now, I'm pretty sure that they've already got some, well, people have already made some liveries for this mod on Race Department. So if you want to drive in, say, a Red Bull and just make it feel a little bit more authentic, then you can do that. But for now, I think this livery that I've got on now is probably the most realistic one, because I believe it's been modeled after the McLaren, but obviously it's got some of the virtual car racing branding on it and stuff like that, which I'll quickly show you how the car looks. You can kind of see it in chase cam. We'll switch over to some T-cam footage as well. There you go. So yeah, you can see it's basically modeled after the McLaren, but it's got some different branding on it. But yeah, probably what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to show you guys a third-party view of a lap around Spa with this car, with the A-spec wing, so you can actually see what it looks like when it's porpoising in a third-person view. So when it comes to this car, this mod made by Virtual Reality Cars, what do I think of it personally, and would I recommend this for you guys to pick up if you play AC? 100%. Pick this up if you do play AC. It's something that you could just toy around with whenever you're bored or whenever you have some free time. There's a lot of different setup customizations, and these setup changes do affect the car, so it'll be pretty interesting to see what you guys can come up with in terms of setups, and it is a lot of fun to drive. So 100% highly recommend that you guys pick this up. Make sure to go to the link in the description to pick this up, and make sure to go to SimRacing604's video on it, because he's going to explain a lot more than what I was able to explain with this video, due to the fact that I don't really play AC as much. I'm more of a casual AC guy. So go to that video, you'll get detailed analysis on what everything does and how you can actually change the setup in order to get the best performing car that you possibly can. But what do I think about this car overall? It's definitely a different beast to drive compared to the Racing Studios one. Not that I'm going to say it's better. The porpoising is definitely a welcome feature, and I think a lot of people will like that. But I don't really think that it's necessarily better, just different. And I guess you could say in terms of how the car should technically feel in real life, it is a little bit more realistic from what I remember. It's been a while since I've used the Racing Studio mod, which I'll have to run at some point, especially for a video if I'm going to be comparing the two. But yeah, definitely recommend picking this up. So if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more videos on AC throughout the year, then make sure to smash the like button and let me know that you want to see more Assetto Corsa based mod videos like this, and I'll happily make them. But yeah, F122 content will be coming soon to the channel, as the game is coming out in less than a month's time. So make sure to subscribe for that, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.